Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Jada Toys Street Fighter Ultra Street Fighter 2, the Final Challengers Chun Li. I think she's still technically part of Wave 1 or Series 1 or however they're calling it, but she didn't ship at the same time as Fei Long and Ryu. So it's actually, the way it worked is the first assortment was 2 Fei Long figures and 1 Ryu in a case pack of 3. And now, with her, it's 2 Chun-Li and 1 Ryu. So, kind of odd. They are starting to hit, or Chun-Li itself is starting to hit targets now. I think the first that she had popped up was like in Arizona a few days ago. She is now in Northern California as a local target. To me, did get at least 1 case in. They said they got 2, but apparently they couldn't find the other ones. But here we have Chun-Li. I am very excited, very hyped up to get this figure because the Evil Ryu, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, was awesome. Artwood Toys Rick, he bought the Fei Long figure for me, so I opened that, and you guys got to see my first reaction to opening the figure and everything on camera, and it was awesome. So now with Chun-Li, the fun is really beginning because we can really see what they're doing outside of the male figures and going into the female figures. So it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it. So let's go ahead and open Chun-Li up, or take a look at the package. Right, arcade style, as you can see, artwork there, artwork here. For Chun-Li, all it says country of origin, China, fighting style, Chinese martial arts is all it says there. And then on the back of the package, you can see, you know, the 3 figures that are supposed to consist of the Wave 1. But there's the Chun-Li. Let's go ahead and get it out and take a look. She's got effect piece, stand to hold the effect piece. She's got alternate head and alternate hands. So really cool stuff. Let's get her out of the box. Okay, so here is Chun-Li out of the package, and she is awesome. Everything that you would expect. She does not have butterfly joints like Ryu and Fei Long, but that's because of the design of her torso. There was just no way to do that, and I believe June from Jada Toys had actually explained that on like Toy Migos and Unparalleled Universe live streams. But she is awesome. So we get the stand piece, we get the kick effect, we get these 2 hands that are here, like kind of straight out hands for it, and then we get the alternate head sculpt for Chun-Li. And here we have the figure, and it is very good. But I will be honest with you guys here, she is very hard to balance. Like, the way her ankles are, there's a little too much wobble to the feet. So, like, getting her to balance is very tricky and time consuming, and I was getting very frustrated. So that's why I was like, you know what, let me just stick her foot into the effect piece, and there we go. But I mean, it just, and again, it's going to be the same thing with any figure, with any figure line. You just have to work the balance, but there's just too much wobble in the ankle, and that it gets tough. And a lot of figures are like that. So it's not fair to this one. It's just, you know, a matter of patience and things. See, like, you think it's so close, and then no, because when you let it go, that wobble, see, it just, a little bit of wobble. There's too much give on that ankle, or foot's not quite wide enough, or whatever the case may be. So it just takes a little bit of time to work with and things. I mean, it can be done. It's just, again, you gotta be able to work with it. But here she is. Let's go ahead and get in for a closer look because, again, she is an awesome one for sure. Okay, so the effect piece here, as you can see, we kind of get to where she does the crazy fast kick up and down there. So this gives that kind of that effect there. Done in a blue plastic rubber type material, and as you can see, it kind of pegs in there. At first you're looking at this peg and you're looking at this hole, I'm like, man, how does that work? You just have to force it. It doesn't rip or tear or anything like that, and it works out pretty good. You can force it in there and it can come out pretty nicely, and then you can adjust this stand however you may need. And it just comes in a couple of different pieces. You could just peg it in there and so on. So that is it. But here we have Chun-Li, and she looks really good. These tassels out of her hair, they're very, very soft rubber, so you don't have to worry about those ripping or tearing in any kind of way. She does have the alternate head sculpt, so we're going to pop that head off. It comes off very easily, and as you can see, the neck, it has its own separate hinge inside of there. It doesn't swivel, but it's got its own hinge, which is pretty cool. And then here at the top, it's also, well, you know what? The ball joint does not have a hinge, so the hinge is just at the neck there. So we can get the screaming Chun-Li face there. That is pretty good. The hair is kind of the soft rubber material, kind of similar to the tassel pieces there. And that looks really good. Yeah, so good range there. But looking at the suit, nice blue and yellow paint job on there. It looks pretty good. One thing, the way her face is painted, it's like it's kind of got the digital photoreal type. Because of that, the skin tone comes out a little bit darker, similar to like Fei Long, where his face and the skin tone of his body didn't quite match. Chun Li kind of suffers from that same thing, where you kind of get the soft plastic color of just the skin tone, whereas the face actually has like paint all over it. So that's what ends up making it look a little bit different. So heads up on there. But the suit looks really good. One thing on mine, it looks like this one part of her sleeve, because it's kind of a rubberish material, looks like it actually got inside of that bicep. So I don't know if the bicep would come off easily to kind of be able to pop that out, but I'm going to do something to try and see if I can get that piece to come out. But it is supposed to be out, so it's just kind of like that on mine there. This is a nice soft rubber piece there, so it doesn't really get in the way or hinder the articulation of her darker legs because of her stockings. And then she's got the white boots. She's got the spikes on the wrist bracelets there. That is part of the sculpt. It can't... they don't really move around. I don't want to say that they're part of the sculpt. It might just be on there very tight. She's got fists, and then swapping out the hands are very, very easy, as you can see there. But yeah, she looks awesome with the screaming head sculpt and the other head sculpt as well. And then you can see the torso, the different points of articulation. We'll zoom out to take a look at that now. Also, just beware, this hairpiece comes off a little too easily. As you can see, it should be glued in there, but as I tried to grab the head sculpt to take it off and swap out back to the other one, her bangs just kind of popped on out. So a little glue, super glue or something, you kind of have to really force it in there, but then it'll stay and be like new. So just a heads up on that. Careful how you pull off that head sculpt. This one, you could probably suffer from the same thing. It feels a little bit harder rubber than the screaming head sculpt for sure, but just be aware of that. Okay, so for Chun-Li's articulation, she can look all the way up like that. She can't look down that much, and that's thanks to the hinge on that neck. Her head gets a full rotation in there, and you can do some pivot going on there, which is cool. The shoulder, you can actually get to go straight on out. Even though it has this big poof at the shoulders, the way it's designed on that hinge, it can move around quite nicely to get to go straight on out. Full rotation, of course. You have an upper bicep swivel that's inside the sleeve. I was able to get this little piece out of the bicep from underneath, so that's good. So full swivel there. We get double jointed elbows that are pinless, so she gets that much bend there at the elbow, which is great. Wrist swivel, and they do hinge, standard horizontal hinge on the fists and these karate hands. Her diaphragm, so she's got a couple of points. So she's got a swivel at her upper diaphragm, and then that, I don't know if that... Yeah, so God, this is crazy. So she's got the upper torso diaphragm, and then her stomach part has a ball joint at the waist, and then there's a ball joint at that upper portion. So just on that upper portion alone, you can get her to tilt. And then when you get the bottom piece at the waist, just look at how much tilt she can get going to the left. That's kind of crazy. And then going to the right, I just popped her head off. Going to the right, same thing. You kind of have to work it a little bit, but man, look how much tilt she gets there. It's just insane. And then going back, crazy. Coming forward, not as much, unfortunately, but that's still pretty good. And then you get a swivel at that upper diaphragm. You get a swivel at that weight at the torso. Just crazy motion there. Legs go out that far apart. She does full splits, as you can see. Kicking forward, she should be able to kick forward pretty damn high. Yep, that's pretty damn high. It's kind of crazy. Leg goes back as well. Got upper thigh cut in there. Double jointed pinless knee. So, get that lower. There we go. So that much bend there at the knee, which is quite nice. You do get a boot swivel, so right at where the leg meets the boot, you get a full swivel there. Foot hinges down all the way, as you can see. Get some hinge up. It is a little stiff. Be careful with that. Ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So all the articulation you would expect from the other figures. The only thing that she is lacking is the butterfly joints. But again, based on the design of her character, how would butterfly joints have really been possible? I don't think they would have been possible. So there she goes. And yeah, she looks good. Now let's see how she looks next to Fei Long and Evil Ryu, because I still don't have the regular release Ryu. I'll get him. I will. Just not yet. Another funny thing on mine is if you look at that boot, that piece, that tongue on the boot a little bit folded over under her leg a little bit. That's kind of weird. I don't know what's... And that's a much harder plastic. So that's kind of crazy. I'm going to try and pop that out a little bit because it causes some resistance in there and puts in some kind of spacing in there. So that's kind of weird because she was kind of a little off tilt. So I'm trying to fix that. So yeah, that's kind of odd. Okay, so here we have the Street Fighter figure so far, minus the regular release Ryu that I haven't gotten yet, but I will get eventually. I promise I will get it. And as you can see, I think she scales pretty well. I don't remember exactly her height. I'd have to go back and take a look, but I think they all look pretty good. One thing about them, though, is Fei Long's got big-ass feet. Ryu's got some big-ass feet. Chun Li's feet are like normal size, so... For her, maybe, again, part of the balancing act, maybe that plays a factor. But then I did get that boot tongue back out from being folded under her leg. So maybe that'll fix some of the balancing problem that I had with her. But again, it's still, every figure is always going to be tricky on whether you could really balance them or not. Maybe that will make a difference. I don't really know. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to try and get into some fighting poses between these guys and kind of see what I can do and have some fun with. Because, you know, I want to be able to show you guys how much fun some of these figures can be. And then, like, with this kick effect, you just kind of slide her foot, like, inside. So you want to, hinge the foot all the way down, and her foot will just go right on in. Or whichever one that you prefer. Probably the middle one if you're going to kind of, like, show, like, oh, hey, she's kicking, right? That's probably the look that you're going to go for. So I'm going to try and set up some things and see, how I can make them look and, hopefully show you guys some cool things with the figure. Okay, so here's kind of a fun one again to kind of show you how kind of the kick is supposed to look. And you can adjust the stand depending on how you want it and how it's going to be best to get her into the kind of that fighting pose, and then you just have to figure out how you're going to get the opponent to kind of stand while, getting back and getting his ass kicked. Here's another fun one. Unfortunately, the stand that we get with the Jazzware one, you can't hold up the Chun Li in any kind of way, but like the upside down bicycle kick, if you use a certain other kind of stand, you could be able to do it, but her legs go out so far apart that you can actually get her into the pose to do that. So the splits wise, it's crazy what we are capable of doing with these thighs and that waist. It's just kind of nuts. So this was another one, and I can't make out what she's saying when she does the move, but she has a projectile that would do it. We don't have one of those projectile effects. I mean, if you wanted to kind of do this, you kind of could too, but you can kind of get her in the position to do it. It's tough. You can't get her arms, completely together. So that's why I have the elbows bent in. So it kind of looks like it. But that's kind of the best that I could do there. Okay, so this was a fun one. It's difficult to get her to balance, and moving her torso a certain way. I did pull her apart at the waist. It's just a ball joint. It looks like there's some glue residue on there, which doesn't make sense because how would you glue it if it's a ball joint? I don't know if that's supposed to kind of keep some of the resistance, but it did come apart. It popped back together, no problem. But obviously she can't stand, so I just kind of had to strategically place her leg on Fei Long's leg there. But that's one of her move sets that you can do there. So that adds a lot more fun to it too. Okay, so I kind of tried to replicate the fireball. It looks like it's called the Kikoken. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but yeah, it's the best that I can do. Usually, like in the game, the way they do it is her toes would actually be pointed down. She's bent over a little bit more, but this is kind of something I can do. It's actually a blue color, but I have the purple from Ryu, so that's kind of the best that I can do. So you can kind of get an idea of kind of, trying to recreate some of the move sets from the game and things like that. you know, I really want to try and get her to stand on one foot in like certain kick type poses and things. But man, it's just very difficult with how loose like the ankle and the hinge and stuff are. The hinge actually is, the hinge itself, I guess, is pretty strong, but kind of the gap there with the ankle pivot just becomes too loose, as you can see. It's just so difficult to get her to balance, and that's like my only gripe is being able to get her balanced in certain ways, like, you know, without having to use that bicycle kick, or not bicycle kick, but that fast kick to kind of prop her up. And we got it. So let me lower this a little bit. So it can be done, but man, extreme patience, but it can be done. Okay, so I kind of have her now in her fighting stance. Some minor QC things going on, like the weird, the boot tongue, and then the sleeve being kind of folded in certain places within the joints was kind of weird. The hair piece coming from off of the screaming head, I did put some glue in there, so it should hold just fine. You just have to be careful when swapping the heads that you don't accidentally pull a little bit on this hair piece, because it could come out. You would have to really worry about the same thing over there. But even with those things going on, this figure is just like an insane amount of fun. Like, even though I only showed you a couple of things on what you would do, like from her moveset and whatnot, the posability, the possibility of just like recreating like things from the video game is just so much fun. And, you know, there only being 4 figures now officially, 2 Ryus, the Fei Long, and the Chun Li. When we get more figure, when like wave 2 comes out and we get more of the characters and everything, it's just going to make it so much more fun, you know, being able to do things. So those that have like dios and things like that, it's going to be even more fun because you can set up things with the backdrop and everything. As it is right now, these figures do come with the cardboard insert. It is actually based off of like their stage, which is pretty cool. So this would be Chun Li's. Is it Chun Li or Chun Li? I always said Chun Li growing up, but I could be wrong. It might be Chun Li. Chun Li? I think it's Chun Li. But, you know, you can have those to where it's like their they're fighting pose, and it's their stage, so you have that background. But it's you know, it's too small. If you have the evil Ryu, that, you know, that one's a little bit wider, so it'll be cool to see what people can do, whether you set this up in front of like a TV screen or iPad screen or however, and you can kind of have the backdrop. Things like that are just going to make it so much fun. So the posability on these Street Fighter figures are insane, and for only $25, it's pretty crazy. But anyway, Chun-Li is hitting Target stores now. Good luck on your hunts. You know, I'll have links in the video description below to pre-order. You know, I think she's still available to pre-order on Entertainment Earth. Probably all the other websites and whatnot. I'm not sure about Amazon. But, you know, good luck on your hunts out there if that's what you're looking for. She is packed 2 per case, 2 Chun-Li's and 1 Ryu. So yeah, good luck on there. It is a very good figure, a $25 figure with alternate head, alternate hands, effect piece and everything, and just some crazy ass articulation. It is insane. But very good figure that I do highly recommend. Hopefully you don't have kind of the same issues that I had. Again, there's that sleeve. It came out just fine. The boot, you know, it came out just fine. The hair, I glued it back and we're all good. But yeah, beautiful figure with great articulation. Highly recommend. You guys let me know down in the comments below your thoughts. I know everyone is loving the Street Fighter, the Jada Toys Street Fighter action figures, and rightfully so. But you guys let me know your comments below. Are you picking up the Chun-Li? Are you going to pick certain characters? Are you all in on the line? At this point, I'm all in because these figures are just amazing and well worth the money. But you guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.